Let's do this. Hey, everyone. I am so excited. It's Friday night. Hey, everybody. We are so excited to be here. We are talking about Portugal tonight. And I have to say thanks to all of our guests for being inside on this gorgeous evening. I know it's really hard not to be outside doing something very Portuguese like drinking wine and sitting in a cafe or being at a beach. So yes, thank you all. My name is Colleen King Showalter. I am the CEO and co-founder of Portugal the Place. And tonight we are going to have some fun just talking about what it's like to be a woman in Portugal, especially a woman that comes from another country and is now calling it home. Hi, Lorraine. Everyone, as you log in, tell us where you're from and say hello. I'd love to introduce our panel tonight. So I feel like the Brady Bunch right now. I'm very much trying to figure out. I probably just dated everyone like Fiona and Raven are like, what? Brady Bunch?
Hold on, I love the Brady Bunch. Hold on.
It is what it is. But I'm so excited to have Sandy here with us today. She is a recent immigrant relocator to the Silver Coast. And so we're thrilled to have Sandy here to share her experiences as she dives into building a house in Portugal. Very exciting stuff.
Yes. Hi, Nicola.
We have Raven and Fiona. These are our like young millennial Gen Z representation here today to keep it real, to make sure that we don't get too out of control, the rest of us. So welcome, Fiona and Raven. They both live on the Silver Coast as well. So we're so excited to have you here. And then we have Janet. Hey, Janet. We are thrilled to have Janet with us. She has been in Portugal now over a year, right? Like over almost working towards 2 years.
Yep.
15 months, and is in Nazaré and has a view to die for. And she and her husband are having all kinds of adventures around Portugal, and definitely has a great take on what it's like to kind of turn your life upside down and move here. And then Emily, we are thrilled to have Emily here today. She works with Portugal the Place and has a very full life. Not only is Emily one of our fantastic scouters who will take you out and show you the rooms, show you the okay, we're going live. I don't know what that sound was, but all right. But Emily also is a mom and hails from Canada, correct, Emily? You're our North American representative.
Okay. North of the border.
North of the border. So what we'd love to do is just talk and chat about what it's like to live in Portugal. If you have questions out there, anybody, just throw them out in the chat. Fiona is watching the chat and she'll get them posted for us. But we really wanted to talk tonight about what it's like to be a woman in Portugal from another country, and to talk about the upcoming women's tour that we have coming up in December that we're all excited about and want to chat why we think it would be great for you to join us. So I'm going to throw a question out, and then I'm just going to tag the unsuspecting. So just be prepared. All of a sudden, I feel like a game show host, and I'm very excited.
What's the problem?
So I'm like, this is fun. Who do I put on the hot seat? But the first question that I want to throw out there is, as a woman that is here in Portugal now, did you ever plan this? Like your whole life, were you expecting to relocate to a foreign country? Or are you feeling like this has been something that developed and you're now kind of learning as you go? And I'm going to spin the wheel and land on Sandy.
Awesome. No, I did not plan this. And actually, I'm so excited it happened. I started planning my retirement about 5 years ago and thought I want to travel for as long as my body will let me. And I was looking at Costa Rica, but then Portugal came on my radar, and love it. Absolutely love it. And I haven't regretted the decision once.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this was kind of a 5-year plan for you then. So you started thinking about relocating about 5 years ago?
I did. I started thinking about it 5 years ago. But honestly, I came here on a trip. I got introduced to Portugal the Place and scouted with them last summer. and thought, okay, I quickly came up, I talked to the people in my life and came up with a plan to move here this fall, actually. But my health dictated otherwise, and I had to retire earlier, and I came here, and it's great. I've had so much support, so much fun.
That is fantastic. And can you tell us a little bit, Sandy, about your life, who you're here with, how you're setting up, and a bit about what your plans are going forward in Portugal?
Sure. I'm here on my own. I brought my cat with me, and it's amazing. I have so much support, so much instant community here, especially getting to know the Portugal to Place people. A lot of fun. My first week here, I was invited to 3 parties and 2 get-togethers. So that was awesome. And I'm so grateful. I am having a house built, and so I'm currently renting. I love the town I'm in. I'm in Alcobaça, actually, and I made the right decision.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Sandy. And I'm going to turn to you, Emily, because you have a little different origin story, right? You have a little bit of layers here. Can you share a bit about your background and how you navigated back here to Portugal?
Yeah, so I'm actually Portuguese Canadian. I was born in Canada, but my parents immigrated from Portugal, from Leiria, from in the center region of Portugal in the 60s. And then I was born there. And my mom always used to say that since I was 24, I've been threatening to come back to Portugal. So it took me another 15 years before I actually made good on that promise. And what really triggered it for me was I became pregnant with my daughter. And I realized that I actually didn't want her to grow up in the lifestyle that I had, as good as it was. Canada was changing. The work to live, not live to work kind of imbalance that happens sometimes in North America. I was pulling 16-hour days, like it was nothing. And I'm also not a big fan of the snow, which is a problem living in Canada. So being surrounded by it all the time. So when I became pregnant, it was just no, it's done. She's going to grow up by the beach. We're going to have a much more safe lifestyle, a more tranquil, more calm lifestyle. And we started the move 6 years ago. So I've been here 6-7 years now. And yeah, and I don't regret it. Obviously, speaking the language helps a little bit, but it doesn't help as much sometimes as you think it would. So
a lot of adjustments, even with the language advantage, for sure.
For sure.
Right. So I'm going to bounce off of something you said, and Fiona and Raven, Emily was talking about raising her daughter with the safety factor. You two are coming out of the school system in the US and a very different background than any of us here on the panel. How do you feel? And can you share a little bit about your backstory and how you're feeling about being in Portugal?
You want to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So Colleen and Clyde helped my mom move to Portugal in 2021. And I had no interest in Portugal at all. And I was just come visit. So I came to visit and I realized that
What'd you do?
well,
I'm tell you, that's the love of live streaming, because you're like, what the heck was that? Okay.
Well, I realized, like everyone else, as soon as I come here, that this is where I need to be. This is exactly where I need to be. So I went back home to America and tried to figure everything out to come back ASAP. And I'm here. What was the other question?
Just how you feel, the connection with safety and being.
Oh, yes. We talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The safety here is just, it's an adjustment at times still.
Mm-hmm.
Like we will go out, for instance, we were out last night until 4 or 5 a.m. and not once did it cross our mind that we were going to be
in danger,
unsafe, unable to get home. We were able to call our taxi guy at 4 a.m, and he was there and picked us up and made sure we got home safe, watched us walk inside. I think being our age and being able to go to pubs and go to dinners and walk home late at night after going to the store to get some wine with your headphones in.
Yeah.
It's still sometimes we feel like we have to look over our shoulder, and it's a moment of realization that we do not.
I don't have to. I had that feeling a couple of days ago, maybe it was Tuesday or something. and I was walking and I went to go get a missing ingredient at the store not too far away. It was dark, all alleyways, back alleyways. And I saw some people. I was like, oh, should I be scared of these men? And then I realized I don't have to be. I don't have to prep my keys to stab anybody. I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't have to
No
do that.
stabbing required.
Have that. Okay, I'm walking. Let's go.
Raven, that's her new tagline for the women's tour. Move to Portugal. No stabbing required.
And it was just such a refreshing and beautiful feeling to be like, I don't have to prep for battle at any point during this walk. I'm good. And I love
I was in Lisbon last week for an event that ran late, and I was there with a friend, and she was getting into an Uber, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll wait till you get into the Uber and I'll just walk home. And I was in Lisbon, so I was staying at another apartment, and she just kind of looked at me and she's like, oh, and I said, wait a second, but isn't it nice that I can actually say that? Like, I'm just going to walk home at 11:30 at night in Lisbon as a single female. I'm just going to walk up here and I'm going to be fine. And she's like, you're right. You're going to be fine. And I'm like, I'll message you when I get home. I'm like, but it was nice. It was liberating to be like, yep, I can walk home. It's not a problem. I can walk to the Airbnb that I'm at and not stressed. Yeah.
It's everywhere. I mean, Janet, don't you feel like can you share a little bit about your background and how you're feeling about settling in, especially from the safety aspect?
Yeah. So we moved, I'm originally from Ohio, but then we lived in California for 10 years. And then we were in Austin, Texas for 27 years. And Austin's the greatest place to be, but it's not safe. And the last couple of years I was in Austin, I would not go to anything that was a large public event because of open carry. I actually was at a networking event and somebody came in strapped with a gun on their hip and it was legal. I mean, I left because I just always was worried about that. And the experience of living here is just like everybody else was saying. I never worry about that. My one of my brothers still has kids that are in high school, and he was very excited to let us know he got his kids backpacks that were bulletproof. And I think what a horrible way, for a kid to grow up, and that my brother's excited about this.
Wow.
And none of that stuff happens here. I never felt unsafe. One other thing is that many years ago, actually when my daughter was 14 months old and she's 30 now, so many, many years ago, we were in New York, where my husband is actually originally from. And his aunt said, make sure you turn your diamond inside, have your purse across your shoulder, don't look anybody in the eye. Now, maybe she was a little extreme for the time, but I don't worry about being pickpocketed. I don't worry about anything. It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it's a true thing. Now, I mean, to be fair, the big urban cities, Lisbon and stuff, they still have the petty crime. You could get pickpocketed. You have to lock your doors. Our Portuguese friends are constantly freaking out because, well, I shouldn't say this on a broadcast webinar, like everything is unlocked. No, but they're always reminding me to make sure that we lock everything, because just because it's one of the safest countries in the world doesn't mean that nonviolent crime, theft and things like that doesn't happen. So it's a fantastic place to live, but you still should be aware of your surroundings when you're in urban areas. But the violent crime, the danger to your body and your ability to exist, the lack of road rage, which is just something that I think all of us that are drivers in North America, especially in the United States, you got into a place where you're like, don't make eye contact. If somebody does something, just let them go by, because you really didn't know how they would react. But moving on to another subject, for all of those that are out there, please, please, please throw questions into the question box. I know we're talking here. Happy to slow and change subjects if you have something that's really pressing. And now I'm going to do the community announcement. We have the women's tour coming up in December. We are doing this webinar, and we're going to continue to do these webinars once a month, these sessions, I guess we should say, to really help you connect with women that are already doing what you're hoping to do. And so we designed the women's tour from December 2nd to the 9th in Lisbon. we designed this for you. It's the idea that you're busy, you're looking for a time to get all your questions answered, and we wanted to do it in an intentional way in one place and give you the opportunity to breathe and experience what Portugal is all about. There is no better time than the holidays in Portugal. I have to say it was a surprise. All of you, what are you feeling about the holidays? Is it kind of like a hidden gem when it comes to celebrating Christmas and
Magical.
Magical. We went to, so can I share something about the Christmas markets? So we
Yes.
went to Budapest to the Christmas markets.
Oh, those
They were really great, and it was frigid. Then we went to the Lisbon Christmas markets, and it, first of all, the lights were magical, the markets were magical. It was more fun. The temperature was decent, so you could be outside.
Yep.
But I love this area during the holiday. It's
Hi,
amazing.
Maria. Hi.
Maria.
So Emily, how about you? Did you remember like coming over here when you were younger doing the holidays, or did you really they've developed more, or has Portuguese always loved to celebrate the holiday season?
I didn't usually come over for Christmas when I came. It was typically summer holidays, but I did come every once in a while, maybe 2 Christmases and then more in January because my grandmother's birthday was in January. So we would come kind of post. But I can say that I like Christmas has always been a big thing family wise, and being Catholic, Roman Catholic, it's a big time of year. And then I always joke like, this is the one country that then has like additional holidays in already the most festive month of the year. Like they have an additional 2 holidays right at the beginning. So like right from the beginning of December, you have like 4 weeks, and then it's like holiday mode. And I can say in the last years, they've really started to do it up a lot more, just a lot more Christmas markets, a lot more lights, a lot more festivities. The winter festival that's at Obilush inside the castle and is beautiful as well. All the towns usually do up the Christmas lights, so you can like do a driving tour within a half an hour and hit like 3 or 4 cities that just have incredible Christmas lights. Even some of the smaller cities, like we're not even talking about Lisbon and Porto, but like Alcobaça, Caldas de Rainha, even Nazaré. With its like little quirky surf people and lights and things like that. Like it's a really, and because the weather is pleasant, you can enjoy it and you can still be outside. And
Algarve decorates too. Like the Algarve has Faro and Portimão, and all of these different towns down in the Algarve are all decorated up, even though it's got that nice vibe where you feel like you can still be outside in your short sleeves and everything. And then we went up north, and I think Fiona and Raven, you had a chance to see Viana do Castelo and that whole area decorated for the holidays. It was
Magical.
Really, really beautiful. So the tour's in December, and we kind of strategically put that there. And for those of you that are on the fence or kind of thinking about the tour, there's a couple reasons we're talking about December now. One, it's not that far away. Okay, I know it sounds like it is, but it's not that far away. And we wanted to give you time to be able to book your plane tickets because it's a great time of year to get good deals on flying to Portugal. So we really wanted to think about your flights and getting you over here. And then the idea of being in the center of Lisbon and being able to step out the front door of the hotel and just see the lights and the festivities, you will be able to really absorb so much about what makes Portugal so special. And then the scouting trips that we're doing, we're going to do intentional. Emily's going to be one of the scouts, so she's definitely going to be one of your folks that'll be taking you around. And we're going to be doing tours of all the neighborhoods in Lisbon so that you can do a deep dive into what it's like from maybe a more modest budget up to a very generous one. And we're also going to take you out of the city and do a scouting day going up around the Silver Close to some of the most popular cities right now that people are talking about. Caldas de Rainha, Nazaré, Óbidos, the lagoon around Óbidos, Foz de Orelho, all of these areas, including Alcobaça and Nazaré, to give you a taste of both experiences, the real urban capital city of Europe, and then getting out away a bit and really seeing how they're complementary lifestyles. So I'm excited. Are you guys excited? You all are going to be there in one way or another.
Yep.
I kind of wish we had this for you, Sandy, when you were coming over as a solo traveler at the time, so we could have just deep dived you into everything.
You know what? I have to admit, I love the Silver Coast, so I am biased. But I mean, if you're looking for a great place, I love I love it here. People are fabulous. People are fabulous everywhere. And the housing is still cheaper here. So
Yeah.
I'm building a house. It's not going to be ready for a year and a half, but I know I'm already going to be getting equity on that thing once it's done. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. And coming here single, girls, there are tons of women here coming here on their own. Everybody
Really?
loves it.
Look at
There
that.
is, yeah. I mean, there are so many get-togethers and everything. I cannot walk downtown and not run into somebody I know. I always run into at least one or two, if not 5 or 10 people I know. It's fun.
That's a double-edged sword, though. I have to say, sometimes if you didn't do your makeup and you're kind of running to the pharmacy or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, like everybody I know is like on the street at that moment. But it does. And if you don't want that, there are a lot of areas where you can be more anonymous.
I was walking home this morning, and what should have taken me 5 minutes took 2 hours because all of a sudden there was a concert going on, and then there was another concert going on, and it was just happening. It was great. Running into people. It was fun.
There's
Absolutely.
been times that Raven and I have had a night out and we've needed some water for the morning, kind of flush out the systems. And I send Raven to go get the water just a block away, and she'll come back 45 minutes later, like, oh, God, they saw me out and
You saw
about.
me in my bags and like sweatshirt. And you can't hide. You can't hide from these friends.
I'm going to pivot the conversation a bit, because the other thing we're going to do at this event and what we are specializing in at Portugal the Place is supporting you with all of the referrals and experts and the folks that you need to make the move. All of this is fun, the community connections, it's all going to be there. But if you don't have the tools you need to get here in a way that's going to create a soft landing, it can be tougher for folks. So we put together the tour so that you're going to have sessions with the specialists that are going to answer your questions, give you realistic expectations. We're not going to blow any smoke. I think that's really important. None of us at Portugal the Place, none of us want to create a false sense of expectations. That would be the worst. Because one, you're all going to be our neighbors. So like, I don't want to run into anyone and be like, oh, sorry about that. But also, we want you to come here with every preparation you can. So for all the known things, you're ready, because you're going to have a lot of unknowns that you need to be able to navigate. So the sessions are going to be great. Janet, one of the sessions we're really going to focus on is healthcare. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with the specialist we're bringing in?
Yes. So let me just talk in general, first of all, about healthcare. And what you should know is that I am a retired registered nurse. And so I have a lot of education, knowledge, et cetera. And that was one of the real critical things for me, is comparing what I know to what I don't know, and how am I going to bridge the gap, especially because although I spend 3 hours a week with a tutor learning Portuguese, my Portuguese is terrible. So, given I don't speak the language, and now I'm going to navigate the healthcare system, and I'm in my 60s, and as is my husband. And so, we have pre-existing conditions, and we're healthy relatively for our age. But, how am I going to deal with this? And what we found is with Portugal the Place's partner, who's Serenity Healthcare, and Michael Arbeck is the CEO of it, and his nursing staff, it has been a piece of cake to navigate. And in fact, I even met one-on-one with my nurse case manager to talk about, how do I advocate for this? How do I get this information? What specialists do I go to? And we now are in, although we have the public system to access because we are residents here, we chose and choose to go to the private system for a couple of reasons. One is very personal to me, in that I feel like we did not pay into the system for our whole lives.
Right.
We can afford to pay for private care, so I'm going to access the private system. So that's one piece. But the private system that we've chosen, it's extraordinary. I feel like in some ways, Portugal is ahead. I mean, if you look statistically, they are ahead. Like, depending on what you read, between the 11th and the 14th best healthcare in the world, the US is 37th.
Right.
So, and some of that is access, some of it is cost, but some of the things that, like, simple things like, ladies, you have to have a bone scan when you're over 50. The equipment is more modern. I've had other scans that's more modern. There's other things that they do is a little bit old fashioned. And I talked to one of the doctors, and she said that's to mitigate risk from the US standpoint. That's why they're using different equipment. So I feel like our healthcare and the amount of time that doctors sit with you and work with you and make sure everything, you know what you're doing, you can advocate for yourself, is extraordinary. I feel so good aging here.
So Janet, there was a comment that just popped up there, or a kind of comment question about the contradictive about Portugal's health system. And all of us, I think we've all heard, Sandy, Janet, Emily, all of us. Do you want to jump in and talk about that? Because I do feel like there's a lot of confusion coming out. Is it good? Is it bad? Are you going to be at risk? You know, how do you feel in the real time, experience? I kind of love all of you to jump in there.
If we're talking about the public system, it is a bit overwhelmed. It's a good system. And one of the things when we were dealing with choosing our insurance, at what level, we chose middle level, because he said, if you have something critically ill, you will end up in the public system. That you go directly in. The biggest problem is it's overwhelmed. And so, getting somebody assigned to you, if you're okay with, you get to see somebody new each time, use the public system. And like I said, that's my personal thing. I don't judge. But
what do you think of, Frederica has a question here about the cost of your private health insurance. I'm not accessing Medicare yet. I'm not at that point. So do you have any feelings here, Janet, about this?
Yeah. So I have Medicare Part A because you have to get your Social Security, and I do live on my Social Security. So I did keep that part. The other part, unless you're going back to the US a lot, is ridiculous, in my opinion, for you to pay for and you can't use here. The private health care, depending on your age, et cetera, is actually very reasonable. I'm going to give you a comparison. So my husband worked at a large tech firm, had a very nice job, and they paid for his insurance fully, my insurance partially, and then we had a deductible. Our out-of-pocket expenses a year were $10,000.
Yep.
In Portugal, we have insurance that costs us about 3,600, about 300, little and change, 300 euros a month. We have zero deductible. We pay so little. I go to the doctor, it's 18 euros. I have an echocardiogram, it's 20 euros. So it is significantly cheaper.
And it does depend on I do want to put definitely around the fact that your age, your health, there's a lot of contributors to the cost of your private health insurance. But from my own background, when we were here, my father moved here when he was 81 and had multiple amounts of very serious health conditions, from diabetes to kidney issues, heart issues, pacemaker, all kinds of things. And we did a lot of cash pay because of the lack of insurance that you can get at that age. And even with that, it was just phenomenally less than what we would have paid in the United States for his prescriptions. In the US, with all his copays and help, it was about $900 a month for his prescriptions. Here, it was cash pay before he went on the system, which then after that, it was basically nothing. was 235 euros for 3 months. For what was costing 900 a month in the States. So when it comes to healthcare, it's all individual. There's lots of contributors. You know, Emily, you come out of Canada. Do you see, I mean, you were in a socialized system in Canada. Do you see benefits with the Portuguese system, or does it feel the same, or how does it affect your healthcare?
Yeah, I think there's similarities in all kind of healthcare systems around the world. Like there's always going to be divisions that are overwhelmed, and there is a sector of the Portuguese healthcare system that is 100% overwhelmed. I think the biggest difference I feel here and coming from Canada, where it's included, it's a part of our taxes. We can go to any hospital doctor that we essentially want to. What I find is I don't feel like a number here. I actually feel like a human, like a person. When the doctor is talking to me, they're not trying to rush me out. I don't feel like I'm checking in. Like I felt like back home in Canada and in other healthcare systems too. I lived in the UK for a while. I lived in Australia as well. And the compassion I see here is, I have yet to see it in any other country that I've lived in. When it's overwhelmed and the public system isn't working, the private sector is more than affordable. Like on last minute things, if I need something now and I can't wait for a doctor's appointment, there's a private clinic here in Nazaré, and it's 20 to 25 euros for an appointment. So that's kind of how I work around that. I use both of the systems depending on what's happening. And yeah, I don't feel like I think the compassion is there more than I've seen anywhere else.
Absolutely. Sandy, you were talking earlier about your health. You want to kind of jump in with your thoughts?
Sure. So, well, first off, I want to add two things. If you have something minor, you can go walk into a pharmacy and the pharmacist will diagnose you and give you the medicine, which is great. Another thing is a lot of doctors do house calls.
Yes, that's crazy.
I know.
A lot of insurances include it. You can do it.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I moved here with rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic migraines, IBS. And within a few months, without even trying, I lost almost 30 pounds. Honest to God, didn't even try. Ate what I wanted when I wanted. All my cravings went away. The food is just so good and healthy here. Mm-hmm. And I'm working with doctors who actually say that a lot of these things may no longer be triggered within the next year. So I've talked to other people who have rheumatoid arthritis, and they don't have any more triggers. So I'm not a doctor, but I'm giving you my own story. So
and I'd love to hear Fiona and Raven. I know that you're navigating things a little differently. You're not looking at having to have all those over 50 tests yet or any of that. But how do you feel about being health and wellness here? Like, what does it feel like from your perspective? Better, worse, harder?
No, you're the one who accesses the health system the most. So you should talk about your perspective.
Man, I would say, I think the biggest thing for me is not being scared to go to the doctor. I think in America, there were a lot of things that came with going to the doctor. Mostly, how am I going to afford this? Am I going to walk out of here even further behind than when I came in? Yeah. Now, you go to the doctor, you get a checkup, you leave feeling like you did something, they cared about you, you accomplished something that you came in to accomplish. You didn't leave with an empty wallet and sadness because now you're worse than when you came in. Another thing, the dentist system here is absolutely, I was terrified of the dentist. I did not go for years in America. It was not going to happen. I moved here in 2021 and I went to the dentist for the first time years. They told me I had to get all 4 of my wisdom teeth pulled because they had grown in majorly. And it was a rocky time. The way they did my wisdom teeth, you see the videos online, you get the laughing gas, it's supposed to be silly, goofy, haha. I was awake for the entire time. And looking back on it, I was able to leave that day and not be out of it. The process, they did 2 on each side. They took them out and I went home and I recovered. And it was less than like 200 euros for the whole thing. It was just insane. And I was not on an insurance at the time. I did like 200, maybe 100 per tooth. And I kept one of my big teeth. There's a tooth about this big, you guys. It was insane. But now they call me every 6 months and they're like, it's time to come in and get your free cleaning. Free cleaning. They call me like, come on, Fiona, it's time. Like, and no charge at all. It's just,
They just do it.
it's incredible.
Awesome.
Definitely.
They're inviting people to come in,
Mhm.
like, come get a free cleaning, come
Yes.
quickly get it. And
Yes.
it's just, and I didn't go to the dentist for years either. And I don't have glasses, but I've witnessed Fiona going to, what is the word, optometrist.
Yes, yes.
And
Also,
it's
the
just-
eye care. The eye care is incredible. Glasses, contacts. I mean, you can get set up for 90 days on contacts and be able to pay out of pocket without even really blinking an eye. In the States, going to an eye doctor was just, it was expensive. You know, it was very expensive. If you broke your glasses, you better get some duct tape and keep it going. Now I have multiple frames I choose from. I can wear contacts on some days. It's just been, you feel healthier because you're able to actually care about your health without it taking away all your money and being stressed about how am I going to pay for this. And I think that's the best part.
I think another piece of the healthcare as we wrap that conversation up is the openness to alternative medicine as well. So, you know, the fact that doctors here, and to the Karen, to your point, the dentists here, there's one thing that is so crazy for me is how involved they are with the mental experience of dentistry. You know, when I first had I also don't like doctors and dentists at all. And the first appointment, I had like this moment where I was like really tense in my jaw, and all of a sudden I'm getting this massage in my neck and my back of my teeth and the back of my head, and this really, you know, cute 35-year-old something dentist doctor like doing this. I'm like, what's happening? And he's like, let's relax, let's stop doing everything. And I'm like, cool, okay, massage and teeth cleaning. So it's a very different approach. Like they put in school a whole mental health part of the dentistry experience. So that's something. And Portugal is one of the leaders in dentistry. They are one of the innovators in the dentistry industry. If you're considering moving to Portugal, this is where a lot of people come for dental tourism, to be able to get really affordable and really high quality dental implants, all of that. The women's tour, when we were talking about the healthcare, and I just want to make sure that we circle back, there will be specialists in immigration law. So to talk everything about visas, D7, D8, D2, golden visas, all the different things you're going to need to know to figure out the very first step. How are you going to come here? What is the visa that you qualify for? And then we're going to have also tax. I know nobody wants to talk about this. It's like that's like the Debbie Downer moment here. Let's talk about taxes. But it's a reality. And as American citizens, Emily, you get to step out of this, but as the rest of us still carry American citizenships, we're the lucky ducks that get to be taxed on our citizenship, not just our residency. So it is a double layer of understanding. You still have a tax responsibility in the United States, and you have a tax responsibility in Portugal. So having good experts around you that can help you navigate, help you protect your money, make sure that you're following all the latest and greatest is one we want to make sure you have access to, because that's really foundational in setting up your life in Portugal. And the other thing we're going to talk about is real estate. Rentals, purchases, land purchases, new builds versus ruins. Everyone wants an under the Tuscan sun experience where you get the keys and voila, handsome men help you build an absolute beautiful villa into the place of your dreams. Might need to bring that down a notch. You know, let's not all like that. So we're going to talk real estate and what it's best. There's no magic to the process. What works for one may not work for another. So we really want to talk about giving you the space to decide what's the best choice for you, and everything in between, bringing a dog, getting your kids in school, doing all the different things that you need to consider when you move here, depending on your circumstances. So we invite you to come and participate in the women's tour, be part of it, come to Lisbon, learn and collect all the information that you need so that you're prepared when you want to make the move. And if you book before April 15th, we have an early bird discount. So we have 150 euros off the price of the package that you choose. We are available to schedule calls. I would love to chat with you if you'd like to learn more and understand how the process works and how it all connects. So happy to do this. And are there any other questions, Fiona? Is there anyone else that has any questions or comments? What do you think?
Ask
Quick
away.
comment,
We have a
ladies.
lot of people watching, so feel free.
Yes,
to ask
I got to
questions.
tell you, don't do this on your own. I'm not an employee of Portugal the Place. I'm a client. And I have to tell you, best decision I ever made, hands down. There is so much that can be involved, and these guys have your back. It's extremely reasonable. I just do it. Get the help.
Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you. We really do believe in building community. We're going to be doing these monthly calls so that we can all talk. We'll encourage everybody will be on too. Like it's not going to be just chatting. The next ones will be like, if you're coming in, get you on the call because and Karen, I have to give a shout out to Karen because Karen's going to be here so soon. You're coming around the corner, right, Karen? Like May? Are we May or June? Tell us what you're doing. We are all just. I can't wait till you're here. I mean, it's going to be great. Karen is going to be right here in Portugal after, I think, a year's journey of planning for Karen. So definitely can't wait to have Karen here in the community. But that's the thing is no matter where you move to in Portugal, whether you want to live, yay, end of May, it's coming up.
We're having cafes across from the monastery, Karen.
So if you want to live in the north, we have communities of folks that are finding their way north of Porto, Viana do Castelo, even all the way up to the Spanish border. Algarve, we have communities there. And we don't just stop with Portugal to place clients. We want to connect you with Portuguese and the folks that you want to get to know. One of the things I cherish about being in Portugal now is the international community of friends that we have. So, Wendy, June, boy, that's great. We're going to have a lot of fun coming here. So Wendy's on her way in June. But if you're thinking about moving to Portugal, there is a lot to know and a lot to learn because you can do it kind of in one way where you just kind of throw yourself in and it's possible and it really can be done. But why not try to get a little more organized and have more intentional experiences in Portugal so you can focus on closing out your home and your life back in the country of origin. Janet, you kind of went through a lot of that.
Yeah, so I wanted to speak to that because I've also got friends here that went both ways. So we started looking at this in 2018, and then we were scheduled to come April of 2020. The world, I was like, please don't shut down, and then it shut down. So we didn't get here until the fall of 21. And then we scouted on our own. The first time we thought we were going to move to the Algarve, and we were pretty sure of it. And then we were coming back in May of 20 or 22. I'm a little confused on the time, 22. And then we talked to somebody who was a friend of a friend who told us things about the Algarve that for us didn't meet what we wanted and introduced us to Portugal the place. Said, you got to talk to these people. Well, in my first call with Colleen, and I too am not an employee of Portugal the place, I'm just a super fan, is Colleen listened. She listened to what was important to us, and she helped us in that first call. Take this out, take this place out, take this place, add this place in. So it helped us pre-scout. And then we worked together before we came. We bought the first place we went into.
Not because I wanted you to, but you fell in love.
I know. Well, our one of our most important things, all my life, I wanted to live on the ocean. In fact, I found a picture that I drew when I was in 4th grade, 9 years old, that was 2 stories, walls of windows overlooking a pool in the ocean. So I live over the Nazaré Marina, 2 stories, walls of windows overlooking our pool and the ocean. So I live exactly where I had always, since I was 9 years old, wanted to. And we did go look at other places, but this, for the fact that Colleen listened and found us exactly what we wanted, it was phenomenal. Then, I'm a little picky. I mean, our place was only a year and a half old, and I wanted this change or that change or this added, and they managed everything while we were back in the States, getting our D7, selling our house, getting rid of everything and preparing. And then they, met us when we came and picked us up and then helped us adjust, sent us to the place to get a car, our lawyer, our wills, everything that we have needed. And then they have an ongoing that everybody does, not everybody does, which is their adjuda service, which helps you. And I cannot tell you how valuable that is for me to get somebody to translate. Okay, I got this. What the heck does this mean? Or my car insurance got canceled. Why did it get canceled? Well, they count this as
Why did it get canceled? Be honest.
we had 2 at-fault accidents because we have a little problem coming into our garage, and so we hit the same. My husband hit it, then I hit it, the same thing. But we also blew a tire, and then we had an accident. It wasn't our fault, but we didn't contact them. But anyway, so they said you're not at risk, blah blah blah. But when I got the letter, it was in Portuguese, and I didn't understand. So one of the employees, Francisco, called to find out, etc., and then helped us find new insurance.
And that's one of the things, right? It's the little things. It's the letter in the mail that usually doesn't mean any challenging. You're just frustrated by the letter. Now you're frustrated by the contents and frustrated because you can't read the letter. So you've got like a double layer of anxiety that comes with some things that it's like you're a toddler again, almost like you start all over again.
It is. Or your first parking ticket. I got 2 of those.
Is there a car theme here, Emily? Are we seeing a car theme here with you?
Well, yeah, but the other, and now I drive really well. But it took a while. It just took a while. I mean, it's one of the things you adjust to. So I looked at the whole thing as an adventure. Oh, look, we got lost. This is an adventure. What are we going to discover here? And so I think the attitude you're bringing, but it's because I know that I have someplace to call. And then I just want to contrast that to, I have 2 sets of friends here that I knew before I came here. One hired Portugal the place. They've adjusted. They're doing great. The other one didn't. And they've struggled a lot. They've, am I going to stay here? This is so frustrating. And what about this? And what about that? And for me, the difference is having someone here who's been there, who understands your point of view, but also the Portuguese perspective, and helps you bridge the gap. So that for me is why.
I think that's great, Janet. And Emily, I just want to circle back because Emily does a lot of what I do. The 2 of us have some similar experiences, but Emily really focuses on the rental process, helping folks if they're looking to get that rental. And, what do you feel is your advantage? I feel my advantage is being from the US and knowing what maybe people's expectations are compared to the reality. When you're out there searching, how do you feel like you connect with folks virtually, especially?
Yeah, it's my hybrid knowledge, right? So I'm Portuguese Canadian. I feel I am half and half. So I grew up mainly in North America. So I understand what I liked and miss sometimes about North America that's not here. But I also can adapt and adjust and speak to what's actually a bit better here, or might be a bit annoying at first until you understand kind of the process. And at some point, people talk about the bureaucracy and all of that. And yes, that comes into play, but there is a way to navigate it. And there are people here who understand how to, it's kind of like, it's business negotiation, right? You have to understand the culture to deal with them, to be able to speak with them, to bridge the gap, as we've talked about, to open up that communication so that everybody on both sides is understanding. And then it comes to managing expectations. It's really challenging to come from a country as young as Canada and the US and then come to a place that is super old. Like, we're talking about buildings that are not 50 or 100 years old. We're talking about 200, 500. We're talking about roads that don't really look like roads, but they're roads and you can drive on them, and they're supposed to fit 2 cars, but really only one fits at one time. So, and it's trying to make those adjustments of what it's like coming from a more modern city or modern layout, and then coming into something that's incredibly historical and beautiful, but has its quirks, and you just need to understand where those quirks are.
The quirks are the part now that make me smile. But I remember the first time in Alcobaça, I came around the corner into the old town, and I'm driving, just a regular Fiat like hatchback, and I'm driving, and my husband's giving me directions, and that never goes well anyway. But he's giving me directions, and as we come around the corner, I'm like, this cannot be a road. And I'm literally driving on something that looks like a sidewalk going over a bridge that I can touch on both sides. And nope, the road everybody takes. And now I walk to work over it. I drive all the time over it. We try not to run over the tourists that don't hear you, right, Janet? Like the car doesn't make enough noise. But it's crazy how quickly you adjust, because I swear that first day, it was like day 5 in Portugal, and I'm like, this is not a road, So it's definitely, it's amazing how quickly things adjust and you learn. But those first weeks, it's intense.
And there are small things, like I'm talking about the rentals, like, some buildings, even if they're a 4 or 5 floor walk up, they don't have elevators, and we're used to having elevators. But that becomes like a health thing. Like if you're a good, like walking up and down your stairs with your groceries, like I can understand. It was funny, every time I would come back for summer holidays, I always lost weight. Oh, yeah. And I don't even know how. When I would come here in August, eating or having fun or doing whatever, but it was because I was walking. There wasn't all of these conveniences. I wasn't constantly in the car, and that all comes into play at some point too. Here, it's just a healthier lifestyle.
I never eat in the car anymore. I literally, I drive a stick shift, so that's on these little and stuff. It's like, that's not happening. And 2, it's not the way it's done. You sit and appreciate your food. And even if you go to a gas station and have to stand at a counter and have a quick Toasties and a water or something, you eat and then you go. Yep. And just that little change, I think, is incredibly healthy. Not having, stuffing your food while you're driving and talking on the phone. I think those are things that you forget. And the stairs, the old Portuguese ladies, like, they kick your butt. They're going up and down. They're walking up the hills. They've got bags of groceries, and it kind of makes you go, maybe. Yeah, like they're talking without losing any kind of breath while they're carrying like bags of potatoes and stuff, and you're like, okay, I can't complain. I mean, I can complain, and I will heartily whenever I want. But the other thing we haven't talked about, and we have to remind the women's tour, we really hope that you will sign up. This is what it's going to be like. The panel, we're going to have women there to talk to people, professionals, folks that are right in the thick of doing what you're doing and can assist you, but also just building community. So you have people already. When you move, you'll have folks that you know and people that you can trust to talk to if you're having a bad day, or, just have an ear and reach out to. That's something we really are intentional about building with this experience. And the other thing I want to wrap up on, because it's my kind of favorite subject, is the cuisine and wine.
Yeah, it is wine time.
It is wine time. We're at 7 o'clock almost. Why do I have this? I don't understand. So, yes, Karen, and you will enjoy the wine and food as well with us soon. But don't you feel like the eating habits just changed? Like American food just tastes strange, and like Fiona, why don't you throw in? You had your whole macaroni and cheese hot Cheeto moment.
I'm not going to lie to you. I am not going to lie to you. I did go to Lisbon yesterday and get some old goodies. But, I mean, it's just, you can taste it. When we went back to Austin in, October, November, whatever the heck, everybody was sick. I mean, nobody felt good. It took weeks when they came back to Portugal for their systems to be flushed out. I started getting headaches when I went back to America. I mean, we're younger, so obviously we like our ramens and our stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, we go out to dinner with friends. We don't just go to Taco Bell and drink a Four Loko and go crazy. Like we go out and we have wine, and we have a dinner, and then we go to the club and have like some spritz. And it's just a completely different lifestyle than it was in America. And I think from that, I feel healthier. I mean, we're able to afford going to the gym. We're able to like walk around. We just started driving around, which has changed a lot of things, but we still like to walk. Like in the middle of the day with their coworkers, they'll go for a walk after lunch, like I go for my walk now, and they go and they'll come back happy and smiling. It's just, I think it's built into Portugal. You know, you walk everywhere, you enjoy life, you drink wine. I mean, it's just every day I feel like I'm living in a movie. It's just people, my friends back in the States, I obviously have them on social media still, and they're blown away. You know, it's just, it's hard for people to believe that you can make a change like this. And I think especially at our age, it's not something you see often. And I'm really grateful that we're here. I really, really am.
And I'll speak on the fact that I'm vegetarian in Portugal, and that is extremely difficult. But I haven't been afraid to, for the first time in 10 years, go back to eating fish. I don't feel like I'm going to die from mercury poisoning or anything like that. I feel confident that if when the time comes and when I want to eat fish, that I can do that. And I don't feel bad morally. I don't feel bad like I'm going to die. It's okay. I can do that here. And I don't know if I were to go back to America, would I eat fish there? I don't know.
No,
Not
that
saying
makes
it's bad
sense.
there, but I just don't. I never did.
You don't feel as comfortable.
You don't feel as comfortable. Yeah.
And
So-
here it's
Comes
really
from the ocean.
Raven's like, I'm a vegetarian, but they're like, but you eat pork, right? But you eat salmon, right? No, I'm a vegetarian, but you eat salmon. You eat, I mean, bacala. What do you eat? You know, so it's starting slowly. She's becoming a middleman on the vegetarian,
Yeah.
and
and it's
pescatarian.
okay.
It's interesting. I was scouting for a client far out in the east, quite in the rural area, almost to Castelo Branco. Emily, you know, I was almost to Spain. So imagine I'm way out in the rural. And Portugal is different. If you're looking for a rural lifestyle, you have to be prepared for the fact that it'll still be feeling like you've stepped back in time. The restaurants, the communication, not as much English, you know, a lot of those things, which makes it fascinating and again challenging depending on what you're working on. But what was really fun is I was in this little tiny village looking at a house for a client, and there goes that sound again. But there was an older lady working in a field still with her traditional dress on, with the you know, the wrap headdress and everything, carrying the stack of sticks on her head, you know, and in my mind I was like, she's probably like 80, and then I figured she's probably like 50, like my age, but she's just been in the fields for a while, because it's like she's working hard, right? Like she's making this life. But then all of a sudden I hear this honk 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 sound, and there's like this consistent honking. And she stops and turns around, and it turns out that the fishmonger, the truck, was coming through the little village with the fresh fish, fresh bread, fresh milk, all of this stuff. So this didn't have any grocery mini mercado or anything. And I don't know, there was probably a dozen people that were out sharing conversation and getting their fish. And I think they were yelling about the price. I kind of got the intention that they were bartering, but I was really impressed by the fact that this was happening. You know, here you are. And Emily, you're shaking your head. You know what I'm talking about, right? This is a thing.
My aunt still has bread delivered to our house, where my family's from, which is a bit more rural, outside of Ladia. She gets fresh bread delivered to her front door every day. Like, I remember that as a kid being here. Like, every morning I'd go to the door, I'd get the bread, I'd bring it in, and we'd have breakfast. We'd have bread and butter and our coffee. And yeah, these things still get delivered to the door. They still drive around the old towns, and you can, even in Nazaré, you can go to the markets, and but there's longer ladies with carts all throughout town in Nazaré, and they're just pushing their carts, and they're selling sardines and whatever catch is there of the day, and you can buy from them. And yeah, there's the food here is next level for sure.
And Mimi's saying she's got a fishmonger in her neighborhood as well. So that's really cool. Because Mimi, you're up outside of Benedita, so that's somewhat between Alcobaça and Caldas Farina in the beautiful countryside that's all around here. That is just wonderful. And Karen, yeah, the pastries, the pastel de nata, I think I finally got over them. I think it took me some years. Now I can walk past them and be like, I don't need one of those today. And I think we have to wrap this up on wine, because the one thing that I don't think North Americans understand is the quality and the quantity of wine.
And the cost.
And the cost. Yeah. It's so good. There's so much. There's such variety.
Yeah.
You're not going to come here, though, and be able to order the normal thing, quote unquote, that you're used to. You're not going to just get a Merlot or a Pinot Noir or something off of the menu. Occasionally you'll find it, but not traditionally. You get these beautiful Portuguese blends from the Alentejo or the Douro or up the Minho or the Dow. There's all these regions and sub-regions. and you can just explore. I don't think I would have to drink the same bottle of wine like ever daily. You could just try a different one every day, probably for the rest of my life. There's so much wine. The crazy thing about it is the worst part about this living in Portugal is you get so accustomed to great wine. Then you go to another country and you have a great meal and you're sitting there and you're just ordering your wine and you're not even thinking about it, because in Portugal you don't have to look at the menu. You're just like, I want bread, I want whatever. And then the other country's place brings you the bill and you're like, ha, that was so a bottle of wine. And you're like, oh, so we have to end on wine. Does everybody agree that this is probably?
I agree. I'm going to go drink some wine now.
Yes. I have Vinho Verde in the fridge.
Without a headache.
Vinho Verde, it's sunny here, you all. It is still light out in Portugal. It's beautiful. Wine without the headache. We're all going to go and enjoy the beginning of our weekend. The traditional saying is bon fin semana. I hope I got that right, Emily. Got it close enough to be understood. And I just want to say thank you for everyone to join us tonight. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope we can do this again. It's lots of fun. And I really hope if you're out there and you're listening and thinking about it, let us know if you're interested in coming on the trip. We'd love to hold a spot for you and really enjoy sharing this beautiful country with you in December. Oh, and Mimi, enjoy that wine as well. Fiona, why don't you take us on out? Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you all soon. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.